Hello everyone, there and oppose, a humorous saying, and quote, in this world, only two things are certain to happen to you, death and taxes, and quote, this isn and oppose, just a modern lament. In fact, it and oppose, been true for 5,000 years, since the first human civilizations were just forming. Have you ever wondered why we have to contribute a portion of our hard-earned money to an organization called the state? Who first came up with this seemingly and quote, absurd and quote, idea? And in a world without coins or bank cards, how did people pay taxes? Today, we and oppose, be talking about the dry numbers on modern tax returns. We and oppose, travel back in time to the land of the powerful pharaohs and the glorious city-states of Mesopotamia to uncover the secrets of the first tax system in human history. Let and oppose, begin. Part 2, Mesopotamia, where the first and quote, invoices and quote, were born. Our first stop is Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Around 3300 BC, the Sumerians built the world and oppose's first cities. And it was here that the need to collect taxes drove one of humanity and oppose's greatest inventions, writing. Did you know that the oldest documents discovered by archaeologists aren't and oppose, love poems or religious texts? They are actually clay tablets recording the number of grain sacks and sheep that citizens had delivered. In Sumer, taxes wherein and oppose, originally called and quote, taxes and quote, they were called and quote, offerings, and quote, people believed all land belonged to the gods, and the king and priests were merely their managers. Therefore, giving a portion of the harvest to the temple storehouse was seen as a sacred religious duty. This system was strictly organized and known as the and quote, Bala and quote, system. Each city in the region would take turns providing goods to the central government for a specific period of the year. If you were a farmer, you paid in wheat. If you were a shepherd, you paid in sheep or goats. But what if you had nothing at all? Dawn and oppose, worry. The king still had a way to and quote, tax and quote, you. It was through your labor. This was known as corvée labor. Strong men were required to spend several months a year digging irrigation canals, building city walls, or erecting massive ziggurat temples. You could say that the magnificent monuments of the ancient world were built not with money, but with the literal sweat of taxpayers. Part 3, Ancient Egypt, the pinnacle of administrative art. Leaving Mesopotamia, we head south to the mysterious Nile Valley. If the Sumerians laid the foundation, the Egyptian pharaohs were the masters who elevated the tax system into a sophisticated administrative machine. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was considered a living god, This meant he owned everything: the Nile River, the wheat fields, and even the lives of his subjects. Therefore, paying taxes was absolute and non-negotiable. A very important event took place every 2 years, known as the Shemsuhor the following of Horus. The pharaoh and his grand entourage would personally travel along the Nile to census the kingdom and Apos' wealth. They counted every cow and measured every field. This was the first form of property auditing in history. But how did they know how much to tax fairly? The Egyptians had a brilliant invention, the Nilometer. These were stone pillars placed along the Nile to measure the annual flood levels. If the water rose to the perfect level, signaling a bountiful harvest, the scribes would calculate a higher tax. If the water was too low, leading to drought, the tax might be reduced to prevent the people from starving. However, Don and Apos, be fooled, Egyptian scribes were famously strict and, at times, ruthless. In ancient reliefs, we can still see images of farmers being dragged away and beaten if they failed to deliver the required grain. The scribes sat there with their papyrus scrolls and reed pens, meticulously recording every detail. They were the world and Apos' first tax hunters, ensuring not a single grain of wheat escaped the Pharaoh's grasp. Part 4. How taxes built the world. At this point, you might feel that ancient taxes were nothing but an oppressive burden. But let's look at it from another perspective. Without taxes, would we have the wonders of the world today? The answer is a definitive no. Taxes were the primary resource that sustained the existence of an entire civilization. First, infrastructure. The entire complex network of irrigation canals along the Nile or the Euphrates, which turned arid deserts into the world and Apos' breadbaskets, was built using tax resources, in the form of labor. Second, security. Taxes were used to maintain a professional army. These soldiers didn't and Apos' have to farm. Their only job was to train and protect the borders from invaders. Citizens paid taxes in exchange for protection. Third, and most importantly, national reserves. Pharaohs built massive granaries. During years of crop failure or prolonged drought, the grain collected from previous taxes was redistributed to the people to prevent famine. In this case, taxes acted as a primitive form of social security. Part 5. Weird taxes and the spirit of rebellion. Throughout thousands of years of history, to fill their treasuries, rulers have come up with taxes that would make us do a double take today. In ancient Egypt, there was cooking oil tax, the state held a monopoly on oil production. Citizens were forbidden from pressing their own oil at home, and tax inspectors would even check kitchens to see if people were reusing old oil. If caught trying to avoid buying new state-taxed oil, the punishment was severe. Later, in the Roman Empire, Emperor Vespasian caused a shock by taxing urine. At the time, urine was collected from public latrines for use in laundering and tanning because of its ammonia content. When his son criticized the tax as an, quote, disgusting, end quote, the emperor held a gold coin to his nose and famously said, end quote, pecunia non olet, end quote, money does not smell, end quote. Of course, where there is oppression, there is resistance. History has recorded the first tax revolts. Have you heard of the famous Rosetta Stone? It was the key to decoding Egyptian hieroglyphs. But in reality, the text on that stone was a decree granting tax exemptions. The king at the time had to issue this decree to appease the temples and a population on the brink of rebellion. This shows that since ancient times, the balance between taxing for development and leaving people with enough to survive has been the most difficult political puzzle for any ruler. Part 6, From the Past to the Present, an Enduring Lesson. Looking back over 5,000 years, we see that the form of taxation has changed tremendously. We no longer bring wheat or sheep to a temple, and we no longer spend 3 months a year building tombs for kings. Instead, we pay taxes with currency through fast, digital transactions. But the essence of taxes remains the same. It is the contribution of the individual to the survival and development of the community. Without taxes, we wouldn't have highways, public hospitals, schools, or green parks. Learning about the first tax systems helps us realize that taxes are part of the social contract, they are the price we pay to live in an organized, civilized society. However, the story of history also leaves us with a valuable lesson. A good tax system is not the one that collects the most, but the one that is the most fair, transparent, and used for the true benefit of the people. My friends, our journey into the origins of the first tax systems in history ends here. I hope that after this video, the next time you look at a receipt or your paycheck, you'll have a more interesting perspective on those numbers. They aren't just money, they are the flow of history, a connection between you and the farmers along the Nile 5,000 years ago. If you enjoy content about history and human civilization, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next journeys. Now, a question for you. If you could choose one ancient tax to apply to the world today, which one would it be? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to discuss them with you. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.